Not a day goes by that I don't receive a message from a viewer who either lets me know about some of the challenges that they're facing on the job, some of the problems that they believe they're facing because of their age. I also get messages, and sometimes it's an email. And what I'm told is, hey, Lou, I'm out looking for a job and I'm encountering all these problems and I don't know how to overcome these challenges, these problems. Can you give me some suggestions? So what I thought I would do today is just create a video to talk about why it is harder for people over 50 to find and keep a job, a good job. Not only am I going to tell you why I know it is more difficult for people like you and me, people over 50, to find and keep that job, but I'm also going to offer up some suggestions, some ways that I think you can overcome these challenges. And that, my friends, is up next right here on Over 50 TV. Welcome back to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes. Well, before the break, I said I'd be telling you why it's harder for people over 50 to find and keep a good job. Before I give you what I consider to be 7 solid reasons why it is more difficult, I'm going to ask you to consider to do 2 things. Number 1, consider subscribing to Over 50 TV. Number 2, if your next big career move is starting your own business, why consider subscribing to my new YouTube channel. It's called Side Hustle Rules. I'll put a link in the description box so you can check it out. Now, I also do have a side hustle starter kit. If you're thinking about starting that business and you want to know how you can get started, well, I've got the side hustle starter kit. It's free, and there's also a link to that in the description box. So now let's get on to our video. Let me tell you why it is harder for people over 50 to find and keep a good job. Entrenched ageism. It's part of the company. It's part of the culture. It's inherent in that business. Now, most of us, when we think of ageism, we think of HR. We point our finger at HR and we say, oh, it's that HR manager's fault, or she's too young. She's in HR. She's an associate. She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't care. But we never point our finger where it should be pointed, and that's to the top. It's the people at the top that accept ageism, that they foster ageism. Now, many times, and we know this to be true, many times a company will say that we're an equal opportunity employer, but it's equal only when it's equal for them. And I say that without being reluctant to say that whatsoever, because it is so true. We know that 56% of workers over the age of 50 are pushed out of their job before they're ready to retire. They're pushed out because of their age. That's a statistic that is out there. You can Google it. You can find it. It's all over the internet. But these facts are facts. Ageism does start at the top, and it is entrenched in your company. So how do you overcome ageism? Well, number 1, I believe whenever you feel that you are a victim of ageism, and by every definition, you are a victim when you encounter ageism. But when you do encounter it, address it. Be as polite as you can or as firm as you can, but address it. If you're out looking for a job and you believe that it's ageism that is holding you back, the best solution that I can offer is to go on to the next company. And I know that may not be a solution that you want to hear, but when it comes to ageism, especially entrenched ageism, there's not a lot you can do about it if you're out looking for a job. But if you're in that company and you do encounter it, again, my suggestion is address it. You don't have a choice. HR department ignorance. And I say that knowing full well the definition of the word ignorance is a lack of knowledge or a lack of understanding. And I believe that many HR managers or hiring managers don't understand, don't see the real value that an older worker brings to that company. They don't understand that their skills and their knowledge and their experience make them a more efficient worker. They look at that older worker as somebody who's more expensive. Certainly when it comes to health benefits, you hear that. They also are intimidated by that older worker. They know that older worker has the skills and the experience, and they worry that that person could replace them on the job. I also think in the case of some hiring managers, or in the case of HR people, I think it's a matter of self-preservation, because they know that ageism starts at the top, and they want to keep their job. So it's easier for them just to push out that older worker so they can stay in line and they can keep their job. So how do you overcome this HR department ignorance? Well, the only way you can overcome it if you're working for that company is to do your job and to do it as well as you possibly can. And in some cases, you may have to do it better than that younger person who's behind you or in front of you or alongside you. You have to do it better, because if you don't, that person who is behind you is going to push you out the door. Collusion. Before any of you out there say collusion, is Lou serious? Collusion is illegal. Well, let me tell you about a report that was prepared by the Treasury Department, and I'm reading this with help from the Justice Department, Labor Department, and the Federal Trade Commission. It found that companies have the upper hand in setting wages because they generally know more about the labor market than workers do. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told a White House forum that workers are often at a disadvantage due to required non-compete or non-disclosure agreements. She says collusion between employers to keep wages low, or a lack of transparency that keeps workers unaware of prevailing wage rates. And it goes on to say that companies are conspiring with other companies to avoid hiring each other's workers. Well, collusion, yeah, it is a reality. It does happen. Can we look to the Federal Trade Commission or some other department, government department, to eliminate collusion between employers? Well, that would be very, very difficult. It hasn't been done very often. The article that I happened to read says the last time that it was done was in 2018, and it says that type of remedy remains very, as they say, remains rare. Collusion between companies can definitely hurt or hamper a person's ability to find a job. How do you avoid it? Well, that is something that I don't have an answer for, unfortunately. All you can do is go on to the next company. So there you go. I've just given you or outlined 3 reasons why it is harder for people over 50 to find and keep a good job. So now let me address the next 4, and we're going to start with we let our skills lapse. Yeah, we've got to take responsibility for the fact that it could be harder to find a job or to keep a job. And I think what happens many times is we get comfortable. We don't understand the emerging or the changing marketplace. We're so comfortable, we don't look at what's happening all around us. We also don't invest in ourselves, and I find that to be so very important. And I say this all the time whenever I am on Over 50 TV, when I produce a video, I insist often. I recommend that we invest in ourselves. And when I started this video in the beginning, I said, hey, if your next big career move is launching your own business, I said, consider subscribing to Side Hustle Rules. And I said that because I want you to know you have options, but you should consider investing in yourself. If you don't do that, if you don't invest in yourself, it is the kiss of death. Workers are not confident. And I say that because if we're working for a company and we know that we let our skills lapse, we know we're not qualified for that promotion that we would really like to get, but we know we don't have the skills, we don't have the confidence, or maybe what we're doing is we're out interviewing for a position and we're just not confident. Maybe we've been beat up so much that we just lose our confidence. Or possibly we listen to stories from some of the people who are our age, who are out there looking for a job and they can't find one, so they come home, they're depressed. They're not feeling good about themselves, and what they do is they dump on us, and then what happens is we take that, we internalize it, and we think, yeah, this is going to happen to us. So when we're not confident, when we haven't prepared for that job interview, and when I say prepared, I mean really prepared, well, you know what? We're not going to get that position. So what's the answer? The answer is to prepare for that job interview. The answer, as I mentioned in the previous suggestion, was to keep our skills sharp. The answer is don't listen to those people out there who aren't successful, who aren't and can't achieve what you want to achieve. And I hate to come across, I'm going to hold my hands down because I don't want to come across as somebody who's just, being so demonstrative. But I'm just saying to you that when we're not confident, we can't get what we want. We give up too soon. And that is certainly a reason why it is harder for us, for people over 52, to find a good job. It's a journey. Finding a job, especially when you're a bit older, when you're over 50 years old, over 45, it does take a longer time. So what happens is when we go out for a job and we get rejected, we start having self-doubt. And the more rejections we get, the more self-doubt we have. And we think it's us when it's probably more likely the hiring manager or the HR manager who doesn't appreciate us. Then what happens is we just take a job, any job, just because we need to find work, which is understandable. It's understandable if that's a bridge job, which is just a job that we take to get to the next position. We often do that bridge job within the same company. But it is true, it is a journey. And it isn't easy. It's quite difficult sometimes, especially, as I said, when you're older. And Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, I'm going to quote this poem because I think it's so appropriate here. He says this, Thy fate is a common fate of all, into each life some rain must fall. And thy fate, it is common for people like you and me, people over 50. It's common for us to take longer, for it to take longer to find a job. If we understand that, we won't give up too soon. I've just given you 6 reasons why it is harder for people over 50 to find and keep a good job. So now let me give you number 7. We are stuck. At least that's the story that you tell yourself. You tell yourself, I'm stuck here at this job because nobody outside, no other company is going to pay me as much money as I'm making here at this job. Or you're interviewing or you want to go interview and you tell yourself, well, I'm kind of locked into this particular job and I can't take a little bit less. I can't take a different position. I'm really locked in here. I'm stuck in this position and oh, woe is me. Well, maybe it is, oh, woe is you. But more than likely it's, oh, woe is you because of the position you put yourself in, or I should say your mindset. If you feel stuck, there's a good chance, that you are stuck. The idea is to find a way to avoid being stuck. Well, there you go, folks. I've just given you 7 reasons why it is harder. It's harder for people over 50 to find and keep a good job. But in addition to giving you those 7 reasons, I also outline other reasons, ways that you can overcome those difficulties, ways that you can jump over those hurdles to find that better job, the job that you really do deserve. Now, if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer any questions you have. You can email me. You can comment in the comments section. I'd be more than happy to address any questions that you have about anything that I've outlined here today. If you do disagree with me, boy, would I love to hear that too. And I will respond as quickly as possible to any comment that you have. Well, as I said, that's all I've got for you. If you would, give us a thumbs up on this video if you liked it. Also consider subscribing to Side Hustle Rules, which I mentioned. Consider subscribing to Over 50 TV because we certainly appreciate it. Well, that's all I got for you. Have a great day, everybody.